Thank you very much. The next item of business is a debate on motion 24321 in the name of Jean Freeman on the University of St Andrews Degrees in Medicine and Dentistry Bill at Stage 3. There have been no amendments proposed to this bill at Stage 3, but before the debate begins, the presiding officer is required under standing orders to decide whether any provision of the bill relates to a protected subject matter, that is, whether it modifies the electoral system and franchise for Scottish parliamentary elections. In the case of this bill, in the presiding officer's view, no provision of the University of St Andrews Degrees in Medicine and Dentistry Bill relates to a protected subject matter. Therefore, the bill does not require a supermajority to be passed at Stage 3. Can I invite any members who wish to contribute to this debate to press the request to speak buttons now, and I call on Jean Freeman to speak and move the motion.
Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. I'm very pleased to open the debate on Stage 3 of the University of St Andrews Degrees in Medicine and Dentistry Bill. This bill has reached Stage 3 with no amendment and with what I hope is the support of members across the Chamber, which I do think is in no small measure thanks to the thorough and careful scrutiny of the Health and Sport Committee, for which they have my thanks. This is, in fact, the last time I think I shall have the opportunity. So let me, for the record, thank the members of the Health and Sport Committee under the fair and able leadership of the convener, yourself, Presiding Officer Mr MacDonald, for all the work that we have undertaken together and for the constructive engagement and positive contribution they have made to the critically important areas in my portfolio. Let me offer my thanks too to the organisations and individuals who provided evidence at Stage 1 of this bill. That it is a short and largely technical bill should in no way detract from its importance. In essence, this bill repeals an archaic, unfair and arguably anti-competitive prohibition which prevents the University of St Andrews from awarding medical and dentistry degrees. The prohibition itself was always intended to be transitional, and indeed there is no other higher education institution in the UK which suffers a similar prohibition. After 50 years, it is well past time for it to be removed. The bill removes a prohibition on one of our most valued institutions of higher education, which, as I've said, was never intended to remain for so long, and as an additional impetus, will enable the University of St Andrews to award jointly with the University of Degree primary medical qualification degrees to ScotGem students in advance of the first cohort graduating in 2022. During the Stage 1 debate, we heard strong support from across the Chamber for ScotGem, Scotland's first graduate entry programme for medicine. St Andrews and Dundee universities have done incredible work to innovate new methods of delivering medical education, innovation that focuses on the centrality of primary care, inspiring new interest in general practice and recognising not only the challenges but also the opportunities of remote and rural working and the lessons that has to bring care in more urban settings. I had the privilege to speak to and meet the first cohort of ScotGem students. With other members, I have too heard their strong testimony to the quality of learning and experience they are receiving, and I have every confidence that ScotGem will achieve its ambition to graduate passionate, skilled doctors to our NHS workforce who want to work in and remain with NHS Scotland. Removing the prohibition also creates a fairer higher education sector here in Scotland and across the UK, and enables all our valued higher education institutions to maximise the options and opportunities they offer to students in Scotland. As we've recognised, and again during the Stage 1 debate, there are significant challenges to overcome in creating and growing a more sustainable medical workforce. There are also significant challenges to overcome in the higher education sector, including the constraints on immigration, the consequences of EU exit, and the potential for diminished attractiveness in studying abroad as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. Removing the prohibition is one step in providing greater flexibility to addressing all of these challenges. In conclusion, Presiding Officer, this short technical bill has an importance and a significance that should not be underestimated. It is right to remove an anomalous prohibition which disadvantages one of Scotland's higher education institutions, and it is timely to do so now. So, Presiding Officer, I move that the Parliament agree that the University of St Andrews Degrees in Medicine and Dentistry Bill be passed.
Thank you very much, Cabinet Secretary, and thank you also for your kind words. I now call on Donald Cameron.
Thank you, Deputy Presiding Officer. Can I welcome the opportunity to open for the Scottish Conservatives at this stage 3 of the University of St Andrews Degrees in Medicine and Dentistry Bill. I can, of course, confirm at this early stage that the Scottish Conservatives will be supporting the bill at decision time later today. And can I thank my fellow colleagues on the Health Committee for their work, and also pay tribute to them, those that are stepping down after many years of service, namely yourself, Deputy Presiding Officer, as convener, David Stewart and Sandra White. In saying farewell, I think it incumbent on me at this point to pay tribute to the Cabinet Secretary, because I think I'm right in saying this will be her last debate in the Chamber, indeed her last speech, although there may be statements or portfolio questions in the next few weeks to come. Since I've been health spokesperson, I've certainly had many jousts with Jean Freeman in this chamber and elsewhere, and I'm sure we may have a few still to come. But I've always respected her as a formidable opponent and an industrious and effective minister. I've never doubted her commitment to the NHS and her genuine motivation in what she has sought to do in government, especially during the pandemic. And I wish her all the best in her well-earned retirement. Moving on to the substance of this debate, as many have noted in the Stage 1 debate, this is a piece of legislation that intends to amend the Universities Scotland Act 1966 and to remove the provision that prevents the University of St Andrews from awarding degrees in medicine and dentistry. That provision was only ever intended to be a temporary measure and was brought about to give effect to the separation of the Queen's College in Dundee from the University of St Andrews, so that the University of Dundee could be instituted. That purpose has long been served, and now that the University of Dundee is evidently well established as one of Scotland's leading universities, it is right that Parliament makes this change today. It is long overdue. It's also clear that given the first set of ScotGEMS graduates are due to complete their studies in 2022, it's only right that they're able to receive their degree from both the University of St Andrews and the University of Dundee. Indeed, the BMA Scotland have argued that for a number of ScotGEMS students, this joint award was an important factor in their decision to apply, and had it not been on offer, they may have applied to another institution. And the evidence at the Health Committee from Callum George, Deputy Chair of the BMA Scottish Medical Students Committee, was very pertinent in that regard. It's clear that not only are we rectifying an outdated provision by this bill, but we are ensuring that many current ScotGEMS students are able to be recognised as graduates of both institutions. At the same time, we're also recognising the importance of both institutions in the work that they do. It's important that the concerns highlighted by the University of Dundee about a full repeal rather than a partial repeal are acknowledged. But we do on balance agree with the Cabinet Secretary that the University of St Andrews should be able to competitively offer similar degree programmes. We also believe that this should be viewed through the prism of increasing the number of overall student medical places in Scottish universities, so that we can address the longer term issues of GP vacancy. We know that current data shows that the number of GPs who are aged over 60 and approaching retirement is at a 10-year high. And we believe more broadly that the SNP government has to increase medical places. It's our hope specifically that the bill will make the ScotGEM course even more attractive to prospective students. And given its emphasis on improving recruitment and retention in healthcare settings in rural communities, it should be the long-term ambition of any future Scottish government to fund and increase ScotGEM places to address the clear issues in rural recruitment. Deputy Presiding Officer, to conclude, the Scottish Conservatives will support the bill today. We believe it is the right time to make this change. We agree with others that this will be positive for students going forward and for both universities. But beyond this bill, we must continue to resolve the evident challenges, both short-term and long-term, that face our NHS. That can only be remedied by fixing the workforce crisis and ensuring that our healthcare services can manage growing demand into the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I now call on Daniel Johnson.
Thank you, Deputy Presiding Officer. And I too would like to pay tribute to Jean Freeman, given that this is the last time that she will be speaking in Parliament, certainly in terms of a speech and a debate. And I think it is fair to say I'm not sure that she has always welcomed my questions and interventions on the health portfolio, but I have never been in any doubt her seriousness and her earnestness in discharging her duties and the focus that she's had in terms of the progress that she has sought to make in our health service. I think she's been both a thorough and effective minister. And I, in particular, would like to thank her for the very constructive engagement that she's had with me on a direct basis regarding ADHD diagnosis and treatment pathways. It's my only regret is that the pandemic got in the way of us seeing more immediate progress on that matter. But I do thank her genuinely for that. Turning now to the St Andrews medical degrees, and I too am pleased to rise in support of this motion and this measure. And I will try very hard not to repeat either myself from the previous debate nor other speakers. But it is a measure of, I think, the unanimity of this proposal that is somewhat of a struggle. Yeah, as both Donald Cameron and the Cabinet Secretary have pointed out, this is essentially a bill that seeks to address an anomaly created in the legislation creating the University of Dundee, an anomaly that was only supposed to be temporary. Now, on one measure, and that anomaly lasting for 50 years could be viewed as temporary, given that the University of St Andrews is an institution that has existed for 600 years. But nonetheless, I think it is time to remove that anomaly. No other institution has such a prescription on granting of degrees for particular subject areas. And more importantly, I think St Andrews demonstrates its ability, not just in terms of medical education, but in terms of innovation. And I think both of those elements we see quite strongly in terms of the ScotGem programme that it has been instrumental in delivering. And I think this bill is important in encouraging its future endeavours in that regard. And I think it is important to highlight the innovation with this programme. St Andrews is a small university, one of our smallest. Its location is remote and therefore perhaps unlikely for it to have such an innovative outlook, but it undoubtedly does. It is a research powerhouse, and it is also been in this programme at the very forefront of medical education, because this is a programme which encourages existing graduates to retrain into medicine. And as I highlighted previously in the stage 1 debate, that is undoubtedly a valuable source of medics. I think people who have life experience have much to offer, and a programme such as this, I think, will provide a valuable source of doctors for the future. In addition to that, one of the issues that St Andrews has had in delivering medical education is that it has had to do so in a compromised way. It has not been able to provide the clinical years in that education, with students going down to Manchester and other places, and we lose those doctors. And Scotland cannot afford to lose doctors. We need more doctors. We need more doctors in general practice. And this programme is very good, or will be very good and effective at doing both of those things. In particular, it has a focus on community medicine and rural areas, with as much as 35% of the students studying on that course coming from such backgrounds. And likewise, in terms of broadening access, this is a course and a scheme that has got a good track record from recruiting students from areas of lower wealth and affluence. And I think these are things to be encouraged. But I think also we cannot ignore the context that we find ourselves in. We are in the middle of a pandemic. Our health service is being stretched like it has been in no other situation since its inception. We need to ensure that we have the people who are trained and skilled to be able to work at the front line of our health service. Therefore, we need new ways into medicine and nursing. We need to harness and embrace all the talents and skills that we have. And we need programmes such as the ScotGem programme offered by the University of St Andrews and Dundee. And therefore, giving St Andrews the ability to award those degrees is an important step in terms of reinforcing those efforts and recognising the role that St Andrews plays in training medics for the future. Thank you very much, Presiding Officer.
Thank you very much. And I now call on Willie Rennie.
Thank you, Deputy Presiding Officer. Can I join others to pay tribute to the service of Jean Freeman? She has been a responsive and an effective minister, and she's put in some shift through this pandemic, so she does deserve a good retirement. This legislation would remove a unique, unnecessary and unintentional prohibition to grant degrees in medicine at St Andrews. Despite the restrictions, the university has worked hard to make its contribution to the NHS with its BSc in medicine, where students then transfer to other universities to graduate in medicine. As we've heard, more recently, it established a medicine degree programme in partnership with the University of Dundee, from which it separated in 1966, the event that created the need for this very legislation. We know the ScotGem degree is designed for students who already have graduated in other subjects. It's an effective route into medicine and focuses on primary care, remote and rural medicine, and is founded on community-based learning. Returning a level playing field would allow St Andrews to fully contribute to patient care by graduating doctors, award degrees in an unfettered way, and to retain students in Scotland, participate equally with other universities in medical research, sponsor important clinical trials, and deepen the relationship with the NHS. The university plays its part in Scottish life. Take the pandemic. ScotGem students, along with university staff, have been involved in the vaccine rollout and have helped match student volunteers with frontline workers in need of support. Some university staff in medicine have been integral to managing the response by Public Health Scotland and the Scottish Government. But that engagement goes deeper and longer. As part of ScotGem, the university have employed 37 general clinical mentors across 4 health boards who provide 47 clinical sessions per week to general practice at a time when we know recruitment is particularly challenging. The success of this model has been recognised by NHS Education Scotland, and the GCM team received a highly commended award at the Medical Directorate Awards. The university works closely with the University of the Highlands and Islands in delivering the medicine programme. Students are currently placed in 72 different GP practices. There is an optional bursary for students who choose to bond to NHS Scotland by committing to a period of 1 year service for each year that the bursary is taken, up to a maximum of 4 years. Now, 94% of students take up the bursary, showing the commitment to Scotland of both the university and the students. The ScotGem programme illustrates that they have been bucking the trend in terms of widening access. There are more applicants from remote and rural areas. 28% of entrants to ScotGem lived in the IMD 20 or the IMD 40 postcode areas. Traditionally, that is just 20%. Retention of students across the first 3 years of the programme is 100%. That is quite incredible. I make all these points to show that the University of St Andrews is part of Scotland. It's reaching out to all parts of society and is part of our NHS. Of course, this bill corrects an anomaly from 55 years ago, but more importantly, this bill recognises that St Andrews is committed to Scotland and what matters. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There is one speaker in the open debate, and I call on Emma Harper.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I welcome the opportunity to speak in this short but important Stage 3 debate on the University of St Andrews Degrees in Medicine and Dentistry Bill. I want to thank all the work by everyone and the clerks for the committee and colleagues on the committee, as well as the Cabinet Secretary and her team. Jean Freeman has demonstrated complete competence during this parliamentary session, and especially that has been demonstrated during the pandemic. This bill, which is technical in nature, will remove the unfair and anti-competitive prohibition which prevents the university of St Andrews from awarding medical and dentistry degrees, the only university in Scotland which has had this prohibition. In doing so, the bill does repeal a section of the University of Scotland Act 1966, which prevents the university from offering medical and dentistry degrees. This is welcome as it affords the University of St Andrews equality of competition and of educational opportunity. Presiding Officer, as Deputy Convener of the Health and Sport Committee, I was involved in the scrutiny of this bill at committee stage. The committee produced a short report on the bill in which we had only one recommendation, which was to overwhelmingly support the general principles of the bill. During committee discussion of the bill, we also considered evidence on the NHS recruitment and widening access to studying medicine. This bill prompted discussion of the potential of a new medical school to be established in Scotland. The COVID pandemic has prevented work to proceed on establishing a new medical school, and I welcome the Cabinet Secretary's commitment on this. I will continue to raise awareness of work in Dumfries and Galloway for a new medical school to potentially be sited at the Crichton campus. So I ask the Cabinet Secretary to keep this in mind as we move forward, and I'm sure her replacement will continue to work on this. I will continue to engage with her in the future and the local campaigners on the issue. Presiding Officer, bringing this bill forward will allow the university to award a degree with the University of Dundee for the purpose of the Scottish Graduate Entry Medicine ScotGEM programme, and others have discussed this already. It's Scotland's first graduate entry programme for medicine with a rural medicine focus, and the first cohort students are expected to graduate in 2022. If the bill is not passed, then their degree will be awarded by the University of Dundee only, despite the important work of the University of St Andrews. The timing of the introduction of this bill is therefore welcome, as it enables the University of St Andrews to award the degree jointly with the University of Dundee, as was promised to the ScotGEM students, who are very excited about the joint primary medical qualification. The committee heard how passionately ScotGEM students feel about their unique identity as students of both universities, and I therefore encourage members to support this bill's passage. Presiding Officer, in conclusion, I welcome this bill and its very real implications for both the University of St Andrews and for ScotGEM students, many of whom are currently training across Dumfries and Galloway, and I'm hearing they are doing a great job. Thank you, Presiding Officer.
Thank you very much, Deputy Convener. And we now move to closing speeches, and I call on Claire Baker.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I'm very pleased to close this debate on behalf of Labour and to welcome the anticipated approval of the bill at decision time. While Jean Freeman has always been a committed minister who fights her corner, this afternoon in her final debate we will find agreement, and she can take some pride in being part of the ScotGEM programme. I want to thank the committee for their work on the bill, though it wasn't a particularly onerous stage 2 as there were no amendments submitted. That, I think, is a reflection of the degree of agreement there is for the bill and its single, simple purpose. While the ScotGEM programme is the driver for the bill, it does also address an anomaly from the 1960s, where the creation of Dundee University as a separate institution with a clinical school prevented St Andrews University from awarding medical and dentistry degrees. While this removes the legal barrier, it does not result in St Andrews being able to award medical or dentistry degrees beyond the ScotGEM programme at this point in time. The 2019 programme for government did set out the intention to create a new medical school, and St Andrews University have submitted a bid in the open completion commissioning process. While that process is currently suspended, this bill does enable St Andrews University to be competitive in this process, and I do wish them well. It would place its academic offering on an equal footing with all other UK universities, and as the only university in Fife would see the awarding of medical and dentistry degrees from the Kingdom. But I do appreciate there are other matters to consider which have been raised during the scrutiny of the bill, and issues around widening access, NHS recruitment and the potential impact on the North East have to be examined. This reflects the views from Aberdeenshire Health and Social Care Partnership and Dundee University, who both expressed a preference for a partial removal of the prohibition. Dundee University have also expressed concerns around training capacity for their students if St Andrews were to start awarding medical degrees, and also their ability to place students in local hospitals. There are concerns about capacity and competition in a shared geographic area with limited opportunities. These issues would need to be resolved. While this bill is for the purpose of delivering the ScotGem programme, it does open other opportunities for St Andrews University, and on balance, I agree it is appropriate for the bill to achieve this broader purpose. I do welcome the ScotGem programme. It is innovative and the first of its kind in the UK. I hope it is successful in increasing our GP workforce and could maybe be considered in other institutions. I wish the first cohort of students who graduate in 2022 all the best in their future careers. I do support the financial incentive for a commitment to NHS services, and it would be interesting to know if this is attractive to students and how many of the 55 have taken up this offer. Retention of graduates is an issue, and if this is successful in securing commitment to the NHS, it is a model that could be considered for other professions where we experience shortages. We compete internationally for healthcare staff as well as other key workers, and it's unclear what the impact of the new immigration system will be, but it will certainly have an impact on the number of EU workers who've been able to seamlessly transition to working in the UK, and we need to find ways to secure our workforce. The challenges that health boards and IGBs are facing recruiting and retaining GP and primary care staff is well known. In my own region, there has been a steady flow of retirals and resignation, and in some cases it's proving very difficult to replace the GP workforce. In Fife, a number of GP practices operate closed lists, and a number have now come under the direct control of NHS Fife. Many practices are relying on locum cover and are described as in high-risk situation. This has led to difficulties in delivering an out-of-hours service in local hospitals, and the recent closure of a palliative care ward as a responsible medical officer could not be identified. A shortage of GPs does not just have an impact on primary care. While the ScotGem programme will not resolve all these issues, it is a positive intervention. As an MSP for Mid Scotland Fife, I'm very pleased to see the development of the course. The focus on rural medicine and healthcare improvement is welcome and seeks to focus on acute issues. But I hope that as further cohorts come through the course, the benefits can be realised across the whole of Scotland. Thank you, Presiding Officer.
Thank you very much. And I call on Brian Whittle.
Thank you, Deputy Presiding Officer. I'm delighted to be closing this debate on behalf of the Scottish Conservatives. In truth, this bill really is just correcting an anomaly within the further education system, and that has been the consensual position in this debate from across the chamber. The aim of the bill is to remove a legislative prohibition preventing the University of St Andrews from holding qualifying examinations and awarding degrees in medicine and dentistry. The reason for taking action at this time is to allow the University of St Andrews, jointly with the University of Dundee, to award undergraduate primary UK medical qualifications to Scottish graduate entry medicine, ScotGem students, with the first set of students due to complete the 4-year course and graduate in 2022. I think the indication early on was that the prohibition is unfair, it's anti-competitive and no longer serves a purpose. Therefore, in removing the prohibition, the bill creates a fairer higher education sector, enables all of Scotland's institutions to maximise the options and opportunities they offer to students in Scotland. And I think the importance of this bill can be seen against the well-documented background where Scotland is generally short of clinicians. We are well over 800 GPs short in Scotland, for example, with Audit Scotland highlighting to the Health and Sport Committee that the plans put forward by the Scottish Government will still leave a significant shortfall of some 650 at the end of that programme. So any step that allows for an increase in those attaining medical qualification has to be welcome. I think there was widespread general support for the repeal of the prohibition in both written submissions and oral evidence to the committee, and one of the main reasons for support was that it would bring St Andrews in line with other medical schools in Scotland and allow the University of St Andrews, as I said, to award the ScotGem PMQ jointly with the University of Dundee. ScotGem argued that students enrolled to the programme of study were given a clear expectation their degree would jointly be awarded by the University of St Andrews and the University of Dundee. And for a number of students, this joint award was an important factor in their decision to apply, and it was a matter of fairness to ScotGem students to receive that joint degree. I think the written submission from ScotGem highlighted that the vast majority of students responding to the survey were strongly supportive of obtaining that joint degree. The University of Dundee supported the prohibition being removed only partially for the purpose of ScotGem, but with it remaining in place for all other degrees awarding purposes. This was on the basis that there could be potentially an adverse and unintended consequences to the education and training environment in Scotland. But the Scottish Conservatives are supportive of the ScotGem programme. We also support the removal of the prohibition to allow St Andrews University to award degrees in medicine and dentistry. We recognise that prohibition is unfair and was not intended to remain permanently in place, and for that reason a partial removal only of the prohibition would not be appropriate. There was the issue of whether St Andrews University competes to establish the new medical school, but it's not provided within this bill and does not require additional legislative changes. And discussions around proposals for that new medical school, although have been postponed, we would think it would be prudent when resumed that they take consideration of the wider evidence that was heard on NHS recruitment and widening access to medicine during the bill's scrutiny by the Health and Sport Committee. And if I may, Deputy Presiding Officer, I would like to take the opportunity here to thank my fellow members of Health and Sport Committee for all their work, especially those not returning. It has been an honour working with you under the stewardship of yourself, Deputy Presiding Officer, and I would also add my tribute to Cabinet Secretary Jean Freeman, with whom I have the greatest respect for. And we've sat in opposition and debated many times, but it's always, I think, with respect and courtesy, and I would like to wish her well. Deputy Presiding Officer.
Thank you very much, Mr Whittle, and I now call on Jean Freeman to wind up the debate. Cabinet Secretary.
Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. And can I start by thanking colleagues across the Chamber and remotely for their very kind words. They're much appreciated indeed. Members have made a number of important points in this relatively short debate. It is a short debate, though, I think, because we are in agreement about the importance of passing this bill. I want to address a couple of those points, if I may, before I say some more. 94% of ScotGem students have taken the bursary. I think one of the innovations of the ScotGem programme is that testing out as to whether or not the offer of a bursary in return for a commitment to work with the health service in Scotland, should you graduate, is a really important innovation, and it has proven itself to be effective and to work. And I think for a future government, it is an innovation that should be paid great attention to if we are serious in thinking not only about widening access in terms of higher and further education and in healthcare, but also in attracting more individuals to healthcare. I've also taken note in the various stages of this bill, as it has indeed been mentioned in the debate, about the concern raised primarily by Dundee University, although Aberdeen Health and Social Care Partnership did raise it too, to some extent, around any possibility of additional medical school opportunity that would increase numbers of medical undergraduates and the impact that may have on training and placements and so on. The one thing I'd say about this is that I think we are all agreed that we need to have, and indeed we have brought into being as a government, an increase in medical undergraduate places. There is an argument as we go forward that we will need more of those, as indeed we may need more other training places in other areas of healthcare, nursing, allied health professionals and others. It actually doesn't matter where you put those. If you've got more places, you still have to work through issues around clinical placement opportunities and so on. Yes, of course.
Liz Smith.
I'm grateful to the Cabinet Secretary. Can I also pay a personal tribute to Jean Freeman, who I've always found to be very responsive to any questions that I've had. Does the Cabinet Secretary agree that it's not just about additional places, it's about increasing the diversity of opportunity for youngsters, and therefore that's one of the reasons why this is such an important bill, because it adds to that diversity, particularly at times of changing healthcare?
Jean Freeman.
I absolutely do agree, and I think whether or not a future government takes forward what was in this government's programme for government about a new medical school, there is a need to increase opportunities across our training services for all healthcare to varying degrees, and in doing so to take that opportunity to widen access and address some of the issues around equity. And that is one of the reasons why ScotGem is so important, because aside from the opportunity that it brings to increase a real focus on remote and rural medicine and on general practice, it is an innovative approach that brings in graduates, but delivers the training in new ways with new opportunities, uses frontline expertise and experience, brings that into the learning. So it offers new ways of designing the curriculum, new ways to harness that practical frontline experience to student learning. And all of that does not compromise by one whit either quality or standards. And I think there is a lot in the design and delivery and so far success of ScotGem that is learning for how we look at other areas of medical, undergraduate, postgraduate and other healthcare training and curriculum opportunities. This is, as colleagues have said, a short technical bill, but as I said before, we shouldn't underestimate its importance. There are a number of reasons why it is important, and members have mentioned those, but for me, at its core, the bill is about correcting what, by its longevity, became an injustice. And while that injustice affects an institution, in truth, it actually affects all of us and those we are here to represent, especially young people, in the richness and the diversity of opportunities that we can offer to them. So this is a short, technical, I'm really pleased, bill that has widespread support across this chamber, but it is important. And in some of the areas that it seeks to address, and in some of the examples that members have given, I think it offers important pointers and learning to a future government about how we may advance not only the numbers of people that we bring into our health service, but the way in which we do that and the way in which we incentivise them to repay the investment in their education and training by continuing to work for our quite marvellous NHS Scotland. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cabinet Secretary. That concludes the debate on the University of St Andrews Degrees in Medicine and Dentistry Bill, and we will move on in a moment to the next item of business.